Property today. We're gonna grab soil samples of all our fields. We're working with Standish Milling. Corey Michek over there does a great job with all their food plot stuff. He kind of spearheads that part of the business, but he offered to send out some soil samples for us. So we have 6 fields we're getting samples on today. All you do is you grab these sample bags from them, you fill out your info on it, they send it out, and it comes back with everything you're lacking or what you need to add to the field to get your seed to grow better and do better. So pretty much what you do is each field you want to go kind of the front, middle, and back of the field, grab a small sample from each, mix it up good, then send it off to them. You don't want to just grab it from one spot. You want to kind of get a whole sample of the field. But pretty much just got a little scoop shovel. He said the biggest things you want to go a few inches down, kind of get, if it's not worked up, get below the weeds that's there, get down into the soil that you're going to be working up. But you only need, just fill into that line in the bag, so it's just maybe a cup or so of soil. But we'll get that sent off here, and once we get the results back, we'll go over those with you. We're kind of assuming that we're definitely lacking some we need lime because we're still getting some fern growth here, and but we have been hitting it pretty hard for the last, I think this will be what, our 6th or 7th year planting. And as you can tell, if you want to shoot over here off the edge of our field, it's nothing but ferns. And this field we've been planting for a handful of years, and there's just a few ferns sprouting up here, but mostly grass right now, crabgrass and whatnot. So this year we plan on just going through. We're going to rototill it up. We picked up a bunch of seed from the mill. They hooked us up with their seed line. It's ideal northern edge. We're doing a lot of turnips, clover, a lot of brassicas, a little bit of everything. We want to just kind of see what's going to work this year for us. But with this year, our biggest thing is getting everything planted, and then we're going to come back in the spring and probably do some crops in the spring. I know Corey was talking about doing some sun hemp and that, just to get some organic mass built up in the soil. So we're hoping that this year, if we get everything planted, kind of see what works the best, and then next year we'll come back in, hit everything good with weed killer, get everything killed off really well, and that way come fall we'll know what to plant and what's going to work best for us. So I'm going to grab these soil samples, and once we get the results back, I'll share that with you too, just so you kind of know what we're dealing with. Here. All right, one sample down. Head on to the next one. All right, out here at one of our other fields, grabbing the soil sample, and I was just taking a look at some of the oak trees around the field here, and this one here is absolutely loaded. Get the camera fixed here. This entire tree is just loaded with acorns. But Michigan, it was really hot early spring and early summer. We didn't get anything for rain until well into June, and then it's been non-stop rain since. It's been probably one of the wettest Julys that I can ever remember in Michigan, and it's continuing into August. Or we've got rain in the forecast. This 10-day forecast looks like 3 or 4 days, so I think that really helped with everything. All the fruit trees are full, oaks are loaded, everything looks pretty good. So Ryan's showing up on the tractor right now. We're going through and rototilling the fields today, getting all the grass and that worked under. We plan on coming up probably next weekend and getting our seed down. So it's getting close. I think today's the 4th of August. So by next weekend, between the 10th and 15th is probably we'll be getting the seed put down. So getting close. October's just around the corner. My rototiller does a great job. That's one of the best investments we made for this property. Makes pretty quick work of these fields. We'll get it all worked up today and come back in next week and get our seed and fertilizer down and lime, and then we go ahead and run a Colopacker over it too, just to kind of pack that seed down a little bit. All right, we're out at the cabin at our property tonight. We were out here this weekend and worked up all of our food plots and Colopacked them, got them ready for seed. Then we actually got some rain on it yesterday, so we decided to come up tonight and get the seed and fertilizer and everything put down, because they're calling for rain a couple days this week coming up. So we wanted to get it in before this weekend and get the rain, fresh rain on it. So we're just gonna kind of go through right now and decide what seed we want to put in what field. We're doing a little different this year because of the sponsorship we have, or the partnership we have with the Standish Mill. They provided a bunch of different seed options for us, so we want to try some different things here and just pretty much see what's going to grow in our soil. We do have took soil samples, and we're sending out the soil tests right now too, just to kind of see what comes back with that. But we're gonna probably try in each field to do maybe 2 or 3 different samples in each field. Plant, turnips in one section, brassicas mix in another, and then maybe like just their fall forage mix on another section, because we want to just see what's gonna work best. This is kind of our trial year for this. We've tried turnips and stuff in the past, but our soil was so sandy and lacking so much that all we could really get to grow most years is rye and wheat and oats. So now that we've been fertilizing it and liming it for, I think this is our 7th year planting, the soil's come a long ways, and this year we had hardly no ferns growing up over the summer in them, and that's we know we're getting close to where we need to be. So this year we're gonna hit it with everything that we can, and just see what comes up for us. So it's kind of a trial year, experimental year, and we're hoping for good things here. But so this is the selection of seed we're putting down. It's all the Ideal Northern Edge that they carry at the Standish Mill. But we got their fall forage mix, which has a little bit of everything in it here. I think we might, kind of do a few samples of that, but then we do have one field that we want to do pretty much primarily with the Ultimate Clover, and then probably going to put some of the Totally Turnips in with it, just to get some more of that organic matter growing, and that way it'll help feed this clover in the springtime. But we also have their forage radishes, the forage collards, and then the Brassica Plus. So we'll kind of keep track. I'm gonna actually take some notes here and write down everything, where we planted it, just so I can keep track of what we did and how it turned out. And once it starts coming up here, we'll kind of keep an eye on it and see what worked the best, and kind of keep track this fall on what the deer in this area seem to be attracted to a little more. So, and we did pick up some lime and some triple 12 fertilizer from the guys at the mill today too. I mean, they carry pretty much everything you'd ever need to get your food plots in. So we'll go ahead and start divvying this up and figure out where we're going to put it. And get on the sunlight here, but get that divvied up and figure out where we're going to put it, and then we'll get a little bit of video of actually putting the seed down and fertilizer and whatnot. But biggest thing is keeping track of what we're putting down and where we're putting it, so we know what is going to work best for future years. So got a little work to do, so we're going to get at it. And all of their northern edge, ideal northern edge seeds come with the Nutristar Aquabond, which will help, when that seed hits the ground. It does help to suck that moisture in and absorbs it around the seed. It actually creates like a little bubble around that seed. It'll help trap in that moisture, I'm sorry, the nutrients in that's on the seed, because these seeds are all coated. They are color coated just for visibility, but each seed is coated with a blend of different things. Like you can see here, each seed has nitrogen, magnesium, boron, cobalt, copper, and iron as a starter for that seed. So that Aquabond helps to hold that fertilizer right in place and feeds the seed rather than it just bleeding into the soil. So that seems to make a huge impact to get these seeds started. And from what Corey's telling me there at the mill, pretty much everything here will be sprouting in 3-4 days. Usually they start sprouting. It's pretty quick turnaround. So and we're looking at having rain here. Today is Monday. I think we have a chance of rain on Tuesday or Wednesday, and then it looks like for sure on Friday and Saturday. So we'll be coming back up here in a couple weeks to get some update for you guys and see how everything's taken off. But we'll get at it. All right. So this is what most of our soil looks like. As you can see, it's pretty sandy, but it is getting some good color in it now. About 7 years ago when we started, it was all like beach sand. I mean, it was real light color, real yellow, but we've been pounding it with lime and fertilizer and planting rye and oats and wheat in it every year. And I mean, it grows that stuff great, but we struggle with anything else. But now that it's coming along, we're gonna try it this year and see what happens. And this year we've also been getting consistent rain pretty much all July, and now we're into August. I think today is August 7th. So we're gonna try and get it put down about probably a week or two earlier than what we normally plant the rye and everything. I think usually that's right around the 1st of September actually. But we're gonna get it planted and keep an eye on it. This is the second field we're gonna plant today, and this is the one we've picked that we're gonna do clover on it. We're gonna plant the clover mix here, and then we're also going to overseed it with some totally turnips mix. From what Corey was saying with the clover, it helps to get some turnips or something with a bulb on there planted with it, because when that bulb, anything that doesn't get fed on over the winter, anything that's in the soil in the spring, when it decomposes, that'll help feed that clover really well, get some of that organic matter into the ground. So we're gonna do that here. This is a field that we don't hunt a ton. There is a rifle shack on it and a couple bow stands, but we really don't hunt it a whole lot. It's kind of just off the trail a little ways here, kind of center of the woods. There's great bedding all around it, but we do get a ton of pictures here, so it just seems like with the rye and oats and that, come late season, it kind of just shuts off, and we don't get much activity here. So we're hoping if we get the clover and some turnips in here, that'll help keep them active, feeding on this field throughout the fall and into the late season. So and get the lime and fertilizer down first, then throw the seed down. Alright, I got the Totally Turnips blend here. It has 3 different kind of turnips in it. So on this field we're doing the clover and Totally Turnips, and when you're figuring out your square footage or your acreage, you want to fully seed it for your clover, and then you overseed it with your turnips at pretty much a full seeding too, because they don't really compete. You're putting that clover down with it knowing that it's going to come back next spring, and you're putting the turnips in there to help feed it in the spring, but you'll have your food this fall, so they don't really compete with each other. So we're going to seed them both here. I'm going to kind of put it on here on my lowest setting and just go to work. Biggest mistake a lot of guys make when they're planting turnips and radishes and any kind of brassica really, is they have a tendency to overseed. It's such a small seed, it's tough to judge. That's one nice thing about this, the Ideal Northern Edge, is they have all their seeds coated in a different color, so you can kind of keep an eye on the areas you've already seeded, and when you're putting down multiple seeds on a field, you can tell what areas you've been on and what the other seed, where it's been put down and whatnot. So you always feel like you're going too light, but these bulbs will get a 4 or 5 inch bulb on it or bigger, so you got to take that into consideration. You don't want to stand too close to the edge of your field here where you're slinging most of your seed, past the edge of your field either. You gotta find that right distance when you're throwing it to where it's landing right on that edge. In this case, with this spreader, I'm a solid, 5 to 6 feet from the edge. Got a pretty wide spray. So the same thing when you're going back for your second pass, make sure you're staying a good 10 feet away from your last set of tracks, so you're not double covering everything. That old Ford tractor was an abandoned, worn down piece of junk sitting behind my dad's old work. So we went and got it, redid the whole thing, painted her up. That's what we've been using for the last, well, he's been using it for probably 10-15 years now, but we use it every year up here dragging the field. We also have our loader tractor too, but that thing comes in handy. This is our third field we're planting. It's probably our smallest field, but Dad's killed 2 dandy 10 points sitting here. He's got his shack right up here. They go through and cross down through there out in front of us here, the thick tag alder swamp that runs through, and catching them crossing through there in rifle season. But this little field here, he wanted to do totally turnips. Oh no, I'm sorry. We did the Brassica and the forage collards. So the Brassica Plus and the forage collards here. Did a little section. Right, this back section here is the collards, and then the rest of the field is the Brassica Plus. We are doing a little sketch of each field here and keeping track of where we're putting everything. So getting ready to move on to field number 4. All right, this is one of our bigger fields here. We call this one center field. It's right, kind of right in the center of our property. But it actually runs right with our trail. So once it starts growing, we do have to actually drive along the edge to get back to the back part of our property. But it is what it is. But this section here, that is pretty much the road that we just made a little wider. We did the fall forage blend there, and then as you work your way into the main part of the field here, up onto the sandy hill here, we did the Brassica Plus all the way up on this main section of the field here. And then down in this back strip here, all this area, we did the what did we do there? Oh, the forage radishes. So we got three different blends here. Again, just wanting to see what works the best here. This is definitely one of the sandier fields. This hill in the middle is just a sand ridge, but it does look a lot better than it did when we started. But as you can see, underneath it is a little darker here. It's not bad, but the powdery sand does work its way up to the surface, so we'll see what happens. But we do have one more field in the back we got to get to, and then we have a couple small ones up front to get. I don't know, probably won't do a whole lot of more footage on those, but I think they're going to be mainly the turnips, totally turnips, and Brassica. And what else were we going to mix into that? I think probably a little more of the fall blend too. So knock them out here and see what ends up with them. I'll probably kind of do like a weekly update on these to see how they're growing. So hopefully we can get some rain here, and then by next Monday I'll come back up here and take a look and see how everything's popping up here.